Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battles of the Americans of War, which host Bang and Dang. We got a special YouTube-only edition, only because we're smack dab in the middle of the Appomattox Courthouse, and these two are the outliers of the next couple weeks. Got the Battle of Ebenezer Church and the Battle of Selma. Little short battles here. This is Wilson's Raid, April 1st and April 2nd. These battles they're like really one right after another, which not too much is going on here, but it's in Alabama, Plantersville, Alabama, between the Union Cavalry under Brigadier General Brevet Major General of Volunteers, James H. Wilson, and Confederate Cavalry under Major General Nathan Bedford Forrest. And, we got a little raid here. March 30th, 1865, General Wilson detached Brigadier General John Croxton's brigade to destroy all Confederate property at Tuscaloosa, Alabama. After capturing a Confederate courier who carried dispatches from Forrest describing the strength and disposition of his scattered forces, Wilson sent a brigade to destroy the bridge across the Cahaba River at Centerville. This effectively cut off Forrest from reinforcement.
Here we go. It also began a running fight that did not end until after the fall of Selma. Forrest, he scattered his command through Mississippi, Alabama, also Tennessee, to refit his command following the Middle Tennessee campaign. In Forrest, he spent several days in late March struggling to consolidate his force before Wilson's cavalry could even advance south. That's too bad. Forrest had at least 1,500 and as many as 5,000 troops at a time, but some were ill-trained Alabama state troopers. Wilson had at least 9,000 troopers of his own. Of his original 13,480 force available. Forrest had been unable to concentrate scattered Confederate forces to face Wilson's Lodge of Force, which was armed with 7-shot Spencer repeating rifles. Yeah. Ooh-wee. I don't think that he wanted to, right?
Well, after a brief but initially heavy engagement, the Alabama state troops line broke, and Wilson's men drove the Confederates back toward the defenses of Selma. Selma had an arsenal and industry that Wilson attacked and destroyed after his men again defeated the Confederate troopers at the Battle of Selma the following day, which we'll get to right here. After the Battle of Ebenezer Church, the Union troops burned the railroad depot at Plantersville and a cotton warehouse as well.
Well, you got to, right? Rebel casualties were not reported, but Wilson's force captured 300 of Forrest's men and 3 artillery pieces. Wilson's command had 12 killed and 40 wounded. Forrest, he received a slight saber wound, which he later said would have been fatal if the Union officer, which was Captain James D. Taylor, he said if he would have been able to strike him with the point rather than the blade, Forrest would have been dead. Right? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what happened after that? Forrest killed Taylor, the last of 33 men that he killed during the war. He did that with a pistol shot.
33 men on his belt.
His personal heroics in the battle came at the expense of neglecting the defense of Selma, though.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? Here it goes.
Well, it's Selma, April 2nd, in Dallas County, Alabama. Well, early that next morning, after Ebenezer's Church force arrived at Selma, which was a town about 10,000 inhabitants, horse and rider covered in blood, they say. He advised Lieutenant General Richard Taylor, departmental commander, to leave the city. Taylor did so after giving Forrest command of the defense. Selma was protected by 3 miles of fortifications, which ran in a semicircle around the city. They were anchored on the north and south by the Alabama River.
Look at that shit. The works that had been built 2 years earlier. While neglected since then, they were still formidable, though. The defenses were 8 to 12 feet high, 15 feet thick at base, and had a ditch of 4 feet wide and 5 feet deep along the front. Nice. Wow. That's actually pretty damn good. Before this, it was a picket fence of heavy posts planted in the ground, 5 feet high, and sharpened at the top. Oh, yeah, before it. Yeah, okay. At the prominent positions, earthen forts were built with artillery in position to cover the ground over which an assault would have to be made. Look at that. They got themselves nice and set up, huh?
Well, the Confederates defending Selma consisted of Armstrong, Roddy, and Crosslands brigades, Myrick's Artillery Battalion, Force's Escort, and Alabama Militia. Force's line of battle was so long that its 2,000 men were separated from each other 5 to 10 feet. Oh, jeez. There being from 5 to 10 times as many Union troops, their line was closer together, clearly.
Right.
Just before the battle, it looked like they were all over the field to their front.
Oh, shit. Wilson's force arrived at the Selma fortifications at about 2 p.m. He placed General Long's division across the Summerfield Road with the Chicago Board of Trade battery in support. Upton's division was placed across the Range Line Road with Battery 1, 4th U.S. Artillery in support.
Probably Battery I.
Either or. Wilson had 9,000 well-armed and well-trained troops ready to fight. Wilson's plan was for Upton to send in a 300-man detachment after dark to cross the swamp on the Confederate right entered the works and began a flanking movement toward the center, moving along the line of fortifications. Perfect.
Then a single gun from Upton's artillery would fire the signal for an attack by the entire Federal Corps.
Oh, shit.
At 5 p.m., however, the ammunition train in Wilson's rear was attacked by advanced elements of Forrest Scatter's forces
Oh, shit.
who were moving toward Selma. Long and Upton had both positioned significant numbers of the troops in their rear to guard against such an event. However, Long decided on his own to begin an assault against the Selma fortifications to neutralize the attack in his rear.
Right. Long's men attacked in a single rank in 3 main lines, dismounted and firing their 7-shot Spencer rifles. They were supported by artillery. The old Rebs defenders replied with heavy small arms and artillery fire as well. The attackers suffered many casualties, including General Long himself. But the attack continued anyway. Once the Union troops reached the works, vicious hand-to-hand fighting broke out. People slashing their sabers. Many on both sides were struck down with clubbed muskets. Still, Union troops kept pouring into the works. Less than 30 minutes, Long's men captured the works, protecting the Summerfield Road from the hopelessly outnumbered defenders. Damn.
Well, meanwhile, General Upton, observing Long's success, ordered his division forward. Soon, U.S. flags could be seen waving over the works from the Range Line Road to Summerfield Road. Once the outer works had fallen, General Wilson himself led the 4th U.S. Cavalry Regiment in a mounted charge down the Range Line Road toward the unfinished inner line of works. The retreating Confederate forces, having reached the inner works, rallied and poured a devastating fire into the charging Union column, though.
Oh, shit. This stopped the charge and sent General Wilson sprawling to the ground when his favorite horse was wounded.
Oh, no.
Wilson quickly remounted his injured horse and ordered a dismounted assault by several regiments. Mixed units of the Confederate troops at the Selma Railroad Depot and the adjoining banks of the railroad bed tried to make a stand next to the Plantersville Road, which is present-day Broad Street. Fighting there was heavy. 7 p.m., the superior numbers of Union troops, once again, allowed them to flank the southern positions, causing the defenders to abandon their depot, as well as the inner line of the works. I mean, sooner or later, you're going to get them.
Yeah, and that means Union troopers are going to round up hundreds of prisoners, but hundreds more escaped in the darkness down the Burnsville Road.
Makes sense.
These included Generals Forrest, Armstrong, and Roddy.
Fantastic.
To the west, many Confederate soldiers continued to fight the pursuing Union soldiers to the eastern side of Valley Creek.
Wow.
They then escaped in the darkness by swimming the Alabama River near the mouth of the Valley Creek, where the present-day Battle of Selma reenactment is held.
Oh, fantastic.
During his escape from the city, Forrest killed another Union trooper, the 30th he had killed in personal combat in the war.
He still got 3 more to go. Wilson, he lost 359 men in the battle. Forrest lost over 2,700 casualties, mostly prisoners and 32 artillery pieces. Jubilant Union troops looted the city that very night.
Why not?
Wilson's men spent the next week destroying the arsenal and naval foundry. Finally, they left Selma and moved on to Montgomery and fought at Columbus on Easter Sunday.
Oh.
Then they finally marched to Macon, Georgia, when they learned of the war's end. 10th of May, 1865, they captured Jefferson Davis in Ironsville, Georgia.
They did. Irwinsville. Yeah, that's the opening of Wilson's raid. We'll have 2 more battles, but those will be in 7 to 10 days from here on out. The next 7 or 8 battles we have are all in Virginia, all in the Appomattox campaign, culminating in the obvious courthouse. Next week, we got the third. Well, this will be released probably midweek sometimes, but our next episode will be the big battle. The third battle is Battle of Petersburg, mixed in with the Battle of Sutherland Station because they're going on at the same time. And then we'll have the Battle of Namazine Church, Amelia Springs, Rice's Station, Sailors Creek, High Bridge, Cumberland Church, Appomattox Station, and finally the Appomattox Courthouse before we wrap it up with a couple other battles. And the last battle of Palmito Ranch in Texas to end the war officially.
Fantastic.
So we'll see you then, man. Go check out our podcasts if you're listening. Well, you're going to be listening on YouTube. And we'll see you for 3rd Petersburg. We'll be back then. We're the Mother Music Industry.
Dang, dang.